Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mackie and I hope you're all having a great day today. So today we're going to be reading some of your guys' scary stories again because it's always so much fun for me hearing what you guys have experienced. And I also like doing it because it gives you guys a little break from hearing all of my crazy stories. But it makes me feel like I'm not the only one who goes through this crazy stuff in my life. But before we begin, I want to go over a couple things. So the new merch has dropped. It's officially out, but for some reason a couple designs didn't upload. So I'm working on that right now. We're trying to figure out why it's not popping up, but it should be up very soon. For now it's just the two designs. It's the one I did with Megan, who's one of my followers that created the merch for me. And the other one is just a holiday design. That's all that's up right now, but there are two more that are coming out. So I will keep you guys updated on when we figure it out, but yeah, definitely go check out the ones that are up now. So now for the other thing I want to touch on. A lot of you may or may not know that I am building a tiny house in my backyard right now. I've been posting it on TikTok, but I want to know if you guys would want to see any of the tiny home videos up on my YouTube channel. So they'd be a lot longer videos than the TikToks, obviously. So let me know if you guys want to see that on here as well. I don't want to throw something like that in here that is the complete opposite from paranormal stuff and throw you guys off. So just let me know if you want to see the tiny home videos on here, maybe like once a week to give an update on it. So just leave it in the comments if you would want to see that, and I will definitely start making tiny home videos. Like right now, we're about to put up the third wall, so we have one more wall to build, and then the exterior is basically done. I just have to put the roof on it. So let me know in the comments about that. Okay, sorry if there's a lighting change. My light just died, so I'm using a different one now. But anyway, if you have a scary story you would like to tell or have shared, please DM it to me on Instagram or send it to my email, just mackiealbertson21@gmail.com. Everything will be linked down below, but I'm going to continue doing these videos once or twice a month, so keep sending in your stories. Enough of the rambling, let's get straight into today's video. Okay, so the first story today comes from Jasmine. So she says, when my sister was a baby, there would be this man screaming and yelling in her room, throwing her toys around. He had a very deep voice, and when my grandmother and my mom would go into her room would be completely clean, and she'll just be standing in her crib and staring into the corner of her room and talking back like it was my grandmother or my mom. My mom would hear this on the baby monitor. She said he sounded like the man was super angry, but you couldn't really understand him. He would just be speaking gibberish, like how a baby would talk. That went on for a few months. Then my mom decided it was time to move out because it was terrifying. The second story. When I was around 7 years old, me, my mom, and brother lived in this very creepy apartment, but I could tell that there was something off because every night while everyone was asleep, I would hear people walking in the hallways. I would hear laughing outside my door, and one day I was standing in front of the hallway and I saw my mom's friend that had passed away. I remember this like it was yesterday. I called for my mom. She came to me and said, "What, baby?" I said, "Mama, there's Becky. That's her friend that passed." I pointed the picture behind me that had my mom and Becky in it, and then I pointed at the end of the hall. She started crying. I said, "Mama, she said she is sorry for hurting you. She said she loves you." Remind you, I was only 7 years old. I kept seeing her, but she would just be standing in different places, but it looked like she was waiting for me. But I was never creeped out. There's a third story from her. When I was around 12 years old, my grandpa would sit with me on my bed, just watching me write in my journal. But then he would start yelling and moving his head all weird, and he would stare at me, and I'd be scared, and I would wake up with scratches on my back. And I'd tell my mom, and she said, "Who did this?" I said, "Grandpa." She would be horrified, and then she moved out 2 years later, but we would just keep moving into haunted houses, like it would feel like something was pulling us towards those places. It was weird. And that's my 3 paranormal experiences. That's so creepy how everywhere they moved into was haunted. It almost makes me feel like maybe they weren't moving into haunted houses, but there was something attached to them where it was just following them everywhere they went. So I'm super curious to know if anything still happens in any of their houses. Okay, so this next story comes from Las Maria. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but okay. So they say, "Hey Mackie, I saw your videos and you were telling scary stories that people DM you. So I'll tell you one of my scary stories. When my family still lived at our old house, we always heard scratching on the walls. We all thought it was our cat that we had. Then one night, I was sleeping and we had a bunk bed. My older brother slept at the top, I slept in the middle, and my younger brother slept on the bottom. So I randomly woke up. I didn't have a phone, but I could tell it was around 3 a.m. Then I turned over to the wall, and right when I turned, I saw a long hand with long black nails. At first I thought it was my brother pranking me and put a scary glove on or something. Then a week after that, my siblings and me all slept in the living room. I slept on the floor with my brother and my older brother on the couch. But he also woke up in the middle of the night and he saw a girl with long black hair and a white nightgown. She stood in between me and my younger brother. She didn't have a face, so he couldn't see where she was facing. Then 3 seconds later, it disappeared. Later we found out a family lived there and brought women and girls and did some bad things to them. And killed them and then killed his daughter and sons. But the wife escaped. We lived in a neighborhood, but we all had farm in the back, and he killed them and did bad things to them in the backyard where a big tree is. We moved houses, so right now the house I'm living in is haunted too. I see little kids talking in the middle of the night, and you see grown men and women walk around, but it only happens in the fall. And also my parents last year saw a figure climbing onto the roof of their bedroom, and the figure was darker than the shadows. Sorry, the story was long, and this all happened in 1 year. Well, that sounds like a crazy year. It's so crazy that they found out there's actually a backstory to the things that were happening in their house. So the next story comes from It's Tia, I think. Sorry if I mispronounce it, but anyway, they say, "Hi Mackie, I'm here to tell you a scary story. So I live in England and I used to live in a flat, but I don't anymore. And when I did live in a flat, my mom and dad were looking for a house and they found one, and an old lady used to live here." So I'm pretty sure a flat in England means like an apartment type thing. My mom and dad were looking for a house and they found one, and an old lady used to live here, but she passed away. My mom didn't tell me that an old lady passed away at my house I have now. And when I went in my room, I always had a heavy feeling, and my mom said it was nothing. But one day she told me that the old lady passed away in this house. She didn't tell me who she was or where she passed away. All she told me is that she did pass away in this house. I was always scared to go in my room. I always felt like someone was in there and I didn't feel safe in there. So I normally slept in the living room. But one night I slept in my room. I didn't get any sleep. It was like someone was keeping me up. I've done the Ouija board on my phone, and she said she was called Rosie. And I asked if she was a good spirit or a bad one. And she said she was a bad spirit. So I got freaked out, shut my phone off, and ever since that day, weird stuff has been happening to me. Whispers, someone tapping on stuff, and I've always been scared to stay home on my own. I always look at the corner of my house like someone was standing there, or like someone was telling me to look there. I'd breathe really heavily and see figures running in my house. Then I tried GhostTube. I'll show you the photos. So if you don't know GhostTube, me and Kelsey have used it before. It's the app where you point your phone around and like a stick figure will pop up if someone's standing somewhere. So it's basically like it outlines limbs. So if I were going like that, there'd be a stick figure on my arms right here. So that's what GhostTube does. So it looks like they used a ghost radar as well. And here's the video they sent me from GhostTube. So that's pretty much all they said. They ended off by saying, "There are pictures I hope you like my little scary story." And that actually is insane. That sounds a lot like my house and the things that have happened in my room. So I totally feel you on that one, and thank you for sending that in. This next one comes from Cassie. I don't actually remember any of this since this all happened before I was 2, but I know what happened because I always had dreams about the incidents. My parents then confirmed when I was in high school that all the things I dreamt about actually happened. When I was born, we lived in a house in Florida. I was a very easygoing baby. I didn't cry often, and I slept through the night at a very young age. Out of nowhere, usually around 3 a.m., I would start screaming bloody murder. My parents would come in and I would be cowering in the corner of my crib, terrified. My room would also smell like pipe tobacco. As time went on, my parents noticed weird shadows. They thought that was the cat, but the cat would be asleep across the room. Our pots and pans would be piled up in the middle of the kitchen without anyone touching them. The most scary thing that happened was when I was in my playpen. It was kind of like one of the ones from Rugrats, so the wall was exposed. I started screaming and my parents came running in. I was pressed against the wall like someone was holding me there and trying to pull me up. Later on, my parents found a secret passage behind a built-in bookcase that they later found out someone died in years ago. We moved to New England shortly after, and my parents never told me if it was because of the spirit or not. Okay, that one's mind-blowing to me. It's just the fact, like, if something's strong enough to pull up a baby, imagine being those parents and walking in and seeing that. It sounds like paranormal activity. That's terrifying. Okay, let's do a couple more. This next story comes from Lauren. She says, "Dear Mackie, I've been going through really bad anxiety for a little over a year. I've had anxiety my whole life, but this year it's been extremely bad. I think I could have invited something in that wasn't at my house before." Okay, first off, that is true. I've learned that if you're having like a hard time, like mentally or physically, your aura or something is weaker, so bad spirits will see that and they come in and like try to prey on your weakness, which is super messed up. But anyway, I have lived in my house for 7 years. I'm 15. So this is the house I know pretty well, and that I know the tone and feeling in this house. I know that there's a nice spirit in my sister's room and my room. The one in my sister's room is my great-grandma who loved my sister so much. We both sense her. In my room, it is much different. I lost my grandpa last year in 2019, and he comes in and goes. My grandpa actually knocked over my songbook. In this songbook, I was rewriting the song I wrote with him a year or two before he passed. My grandpa was big into music and he always worked with me, and I can feel him sit by me when I play the ukulele that he gave me. Oh, that's nice. But lately the tone in my room has changed and felt a bit dark. I hear knocking, which is not a big deal, but I hear scratching on my door, but it wasn't my dog. It isn't bad right now, but I have been imagining myself surrounded by white light, and I've been praying to get rid of this, which is good. I also want to mention stories when I was 3 and also when I was 6. When I was 3, my grandma took me to the beach and she asked, "Lauren, who are you playing with?" And I said, "This is Luke." And she said, "Lauren, there isn't anyone there." And I pointed to where he was sitting. She said, "There's no one there." My grandma told me when we left, I waved to the little boy she didn't see. Also, when I was 6, my Uncle Bud passed away. He was very kind and helped our town a lot. I went to his house every single day to visit him. He couldn't see very well, so he had to have a chair right beside the TV. This chair was then given to me by my grandfather, painted it, and brought it to my house. I sat the chair at my bedroom door. That day I woke up to my name being called and the voice sounded familiar, and I sat up and looked left where my sister was. At the time, my little sister and I shared a room, and we were in a house we were renting. Then I looked at the doorway and I see my uncle is standing in the doorway, and he said, "Don't forget about me." I pulled the blanket over my head and fell back to sleep. I wake up the next morning and a bunny stuffed animal he had given me was right by me. I then asked my mom, "Did you move my stuffed animal?" And she said, "No, they were all in the chair where you left them." And that's pretty much where she ends it off. That's so nice so that she's able to have communication and know that her loved ones are still around her. So that's really cool, but I'm sorry you have to deal with the dark spirit right now. They can really just pull you down. So I hope you get that figured out, but thank you so much for sending that. Okay, so I think we're gonna end it off there. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I have some more investigations and ghost hunting explorations coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. But once again, let me know in the comments if you want to see tiny home videos on this channel, because I'll post them like once a week updates on it and just compile all the stuff from the week into one video. But if you want to see the tiny home videos now, you can head over to my TikTok, Mackie Albertson. It's linked down below, and I post there every single day, so definitely go over there and follow me. But if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my new videos, because we're doing 25 days of Christmas on December 1st, so you don't want to miss out on that. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.